Full transparency, I saw Melvin Gregg name attached to a film, and I was like, yep, it's a no-brainer for me. But I totally got a lot of thoughts with this one. So let's jump into the review of the new film, Share. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Share, which is going to be in theaters, on demand, and digital November 10th. So this film stars Melvin Gregg, Bradley Whitford, Danielle Campbell, and Alice Braga, Melvin Vaughn, Macy Minor. That's literally the entire cast here. And this film is definitely an interesting one, a concept that I've never seen before. And I'm going to break it all down, but I definitely want to say that, like, seeing Melvin Gregg be the lead actor for the film was totally intriguing. I've been watching Melvin for a very long time, recently in The Blackening, which was just hilarious. But I've really been wanting to see more and more from him, and his versatility is definitely showing. But this one right here, I definitely think was a very strong outing for him. And not that I was overly in love with this film, but I was very impressed by him just really putting on a performance here. First of all, there's no characters in this because everybody's basically labeled as like serial numbers. So we're just going to have to call these characters sort of say by their names, their actual actor's name, because he's like serial number like 14 and folks got a lot more numbers to theirs, and that's just going to get way too confusing. So there's that. But anyway, a man struggles to survive after awakening alone, trapped in a society connected only by a primitive computer network where the ability to entertain is the only currency. You're not getting much with the synopsis here. So I'm telling you that a guy wakes up, and if he didn't know no better, you says, this reminds me of Saw to some extent. But he truly does wake up wondering, like, where am I? How did I get here? And so on. And yes, there's this computer interface that you see as the viewer, but also he's seeing also on their end, which I'm just going to go right now and say that the noise that it makes when you're winning currency on this sounds like a casino. If you've been in the casino way too long, you keep hearing the noise of the slots. After a while, you get a little annoyed with this. I'm glad that this film was not super long, because I truly do not know just how much I could have took more of the noise, because after a while, you just start hearing it in your head, and yeah, it was a thing. It definitely was a thing. But honestly, what I did enjoy is that while each of the actors that I mentioned were all sort of in their own little room and everybody's trying to figure out how did it get there, some knew how they were there and how it works. So there was definitely a learning curve for some folks and whatnot. Everybody had a different personality. Everybody had a different mingling experience, which to me, it feels very improv. In the sense of, like, you kind of letting these actors get in there, you're giving them a script, you know, they're gonna read the script, but like they get to get in there and kind of do their own thing. So like you get to see Melvin really get out there and loosen up. Like he gives you a little bit of dance moves. There's some sexual tension with him and another character. So like it was just really cool to see these characters really just kind of just get in there and just do what they're going to do. It's super unpredictable, so you really don't know what's going to happen with any of these characters. You really don't understand what's happening. But then, like, once things start to get the roll, and I say about 40 minutes mark is when you, as the viewer, you really get settled in terms of, like, what's happening, what's at stake. And then ultimately, which I really don't want to ruin for you all, there is, like, some major unpredictability in terms of just even the toning of this. Like, things feel a little comedic at times. I wouldn't go as far as saying a drama. Definitely a thriller. But then the needle definitely starts going a little bit into like, oh, this could possibly turn into a horror. Because there is some things that kind of happen. I will mention that what I'm kind of nodding towards, I thought that it did pretty solid CGI work with it. Like, it was definitely like a, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean? But while I'm highlighting Melvin so much. I thought Bradley also, which Bradley, you seen in Get Out and The Handmaid's Tale. Bradley really, really, really was like a wild card in this. I was not really expecting this character to kind of go about the ways that it was, should I say. And then again, Alice, Braga, Suicide Squad, Hypnotic. Just more and more characters that they're introduced later on in the film. Everybody just brought something special. So for me, I enjoyed this film by the performances because it was just interesting to really see these characters, these actors really get in here, really, embrace their characters and just have fun. The plot itself was kind of still like, I'm not totally sure where this is going. What's the result? What's the payout? What's the ultimate stakes? Like, yes, you learn why people are in there and what could possibly happen while people are in there. But I never really connected in the sense of just feeling that sort of that dread of them being isolated and captive in the life that they got away from. Even some folks even making peace with like, man, maybe my life is better here. You know what I mean? But I will also say too, like there's some uniqueness with this film in terms of like the cinematography. It's the first feature film to ever be shot entirely from one fixed camera angle. So that's cool. I definitely appreciate that. And as we start to see more and more folks get more and more creative in terms of filmmaking, it's cool to see people try to switch things up a little bit. So like I definitely appreciate the craft of putting this film together as well too. But nonetheless, yeah, I think that if we learned anything in the pandemic, people are going to figure out ways to make films. And this is another example of having folks sort of away from each other, but yet still effectively making a film together. So I definitely enjoyed that. And then, as I mentioned, like the socialization is the key to currency. So you have to entertain, and seeing people entertain to all different degrees. What does entertainment look like? What type of entertainment is rewarded? I appreciated the uniqueness in that and the craftiness of that. So like there definitely was a lot with this film that I was like, you know what? I'm not mad at this one at all. I think for sure I would love to kind of see maybe more in this world a little bit. I feel like they made a solid foundation in terms of things they can do. But like, I really want to see things get a little dicey, like more dicey. That way I can be more invested with these characters, understanding the stakes. Because like, let's just call it what it is. If Saw was just a game that had to make you, well, we know like Jigsaw was all about rehabilitation. But if it was just a game of like, either you win or you lose and nothing happens, you wouldn't care about the film much. It's like, oh man, they got kidnapped. They some devices on them. Oh, they win. Done deal. If it wasn't about the rehabilitation, if it wasn't about the gore and the heavy stakes of everybody that's involved around it, you probably wouldn't care it as much. This one, I felt like they leaned into it a little bit, but I would have liked it a lot more. I would have liked the actions and reactions and the consequences and reward to all mean much, much more. That way I can invest into this a lot more. And then I think like everything that works everything that's happening in film just works a lot more efficient. So not mad at this one at all. I definitely think it's worth a watch just so you can kind of see what you pull from it. And nonetheless, just the acting I thought was very entertaining. So totally check out, share. As I mentioned, you got 3 options to checking this one out, folks. On demand, digital, and in theaters, November 10th. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about it once you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.